I got a very different response at FediCon than I expected because I was expecting a whole lot of pushback. And everyone's like, yeah.
Welcome, Fedi Friends, episode 36 of Fireside Fedi. I'm your host, Ozoned. Fireside Fedi is a show about folks within the Fediverse. If you're seeing this, you are in the Fediverse. With me today is Ben Pate. And let me just say, I'm very excited to talk to Ben because he's the most nicest, awesomest dude, and he never has a negative thought about anyone or anything. I'm just making this joke because we were literally just talking about this, but we'll get to that. And apparently Ben is making a federated music app, and that's it. We're done. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Ben. Bye. No. There's Ben. Ben is one of these folks that is very humble and acts like he's not doing a lot. But once he does a presentation, there's a whole hell of a lot underneath there. Ben's the creator of Bandwagon and Emissary, which I feel like Bandwagon always shadows Emissary. So we're going to talk about Emissary first. But for those that don't know, Bandwagon is an open social app for indie musicians and bands, giving you a trustworthy place to put your music online. And Emissary is the standalone Fediverse server designed for end users, app creators, and hosting admins. It gives everyone powerful new ways to join the social web. With that long introduction, Ben, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very excited to talk to you. First off, how would you like to be addressed?
Ben is great.
Ben, okay, not
Sure.
savior of the Fediverse, freer of the planet, none of that. That's
No, I'm hey you is fine. I actually answered I answered to Doug for about a month once because I was temping in this office and this one guy I kept correcting him. My name is Ben. He kept calling me Doug for some reason, and then I just went with it. And I like worked in that office for a month and then came out and had to sign my like goodbye paperwork or something. And I almost signed it Doug, but then I signed it Ben, and they were shocked. Wait, we thought you were anyway. Um, yeah, that
I've
was great.
I've actually been in the reverse situation. I was dating a woman that was a had a roommate. For some reason, I couldn't remember her name. I just kept calling her Emily. And finally, after like the fourth or fifth time of her correcting me, she's like, "You know what? You're Chuck now. I'm just gonna call you Chuck." And I was like, "This is fair. I cannot argue with this. I can't get your name right. I know what it is. I just can't get it right. So call me Chuck. Whatever." Um, if my teeth are implants, no, my teeth are not implants. That's a very odd question. Anyway, Ben, how did you get to where you're at today?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I I was sort of lurking on the Fediverse for a while, and looking for another tech project to work on. I'd had this little kind of toy sitting off the side, like all developers do, and slowly it just sort of needed to be a part of the Fediverse. And as I was looking at what's going on in the Fediverse, like there's already a lot of things out there, so there's no point in just trying to reproduce what other people are
Right.
doing. Um, but this idea came around of a way to make a server that was how do I do this? Um, Usually people think that you can either have features or you can have simplicity. And you choose where you are on this line, and it's a fixed point on that line. But it's not, because you can stretch yourself. And if you play some tricks right, you can have a lot of features and also have it be very, very simple and usable. You just have to put the right things in the right places at the right times. So I tried to do that with Fediverse software by not just reproducing what you've got with Mastodon or all of the amazing ones that are already out there, but to make something that was more stretchable. And so that's the goal with Emissary.
Okay. So that's interesting because we often think the more features you have, obviously the more complex it's going to get, the more difficult it is. But I mean, we're jumping right in emissary, which I absolutely love. So when did you start Emissary? So for those that don't actually, so those that don't know Emissary, do you want to do a general? I have it up on the screen, but we have a lot of audio listeners
Sure,
as well.
sure. And I was afraid you were going to ask when I started Emissary because I don't know. Um,
Okay.
roots of it
Test
go
case.
all the way. Uh, Roots of it go back 10 years of different
Oh
libraries that I've
wow.
been putting together. Um, but that's just because I've been doing other things, and then you roll some of that stuff forward with you. It's not 10 years old. It That would be disappointing if it was. It's probably 3 or 4 years old was when I really started working on this thing. And it's taken some time to get going because I'm not just trying to build a federated application. I'm trying to build a platform where you can build federated applications. And so Emissary
Right.
itself is a programmable system where if you imagine WordPress templates or themes where you can kind of switch around the way that your WordPress website works, but then you take away all the WordPress-ness of it and you make it much more structured and much safer and much more reliable and also much more programmable because you can do things like set up your own data structures and workflows and business rules. All of that is done in Emissary through this JSON config file, and then the application, implements that for you.
So that's wow. Okay. There's
So
also
that's taking some time to build.
yeah. But there's also isn't there also like there's another Fediverse kit, right? Because your idea is not say go to social where it's essentially a self-hosted Mastodon. Your idea for Emissary is to give the basic underlying tools for anyone else to build on whatever pieces they want, right? So this kind of reminds me of like Bonfire.
Yeah, I don't understand Bonfire too much. Like I haven't really dug into it, but
Yeah.
from the outside, it seems like we're working on something very, very similar.
Right.
Um, and it would be hard for me to characterize the differences between the two because
Because
I
you
don't really know Bonfire
yeah.
that well. I
Well,
probably
no, and
should.
it's and Bonfire seems to again yours is can I take Emissary and put it on a server and use it in place of Mastodon today?
In theory, that is the goal with Emissary, and in
Okay.
theory, we're very close. But there are a number of things that Mastodon does that I think are kind of table stakes that Emissary doesn't do very well yet. Um, and it kind of comes from the roots of what I was building again, 5, 10 years ago, that has then morphed into this new tool. Um,
Right.
I really wanted it when I first got started. I was using the Fediverse much more as a reader and not as a publisher.
Yes. Right.
And so Emissary does a really great job as an RSS reader. You can pull in RSS feeds, you can pull in Fediverse feeds, you can pull in IndieWeb feeds, which are kind of like RSS, but a little bit different. So it will listen to multiple protocols and organize all that, kind of like Feedly did, because that was something I really loved when I was on RSS feeds.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't do a good job of direct messages, or it does a decent job now of publishing things. Like when we get to Bandwagon, you could publish an album or a song or an event.
Right.
But when people want to interact with you, then come back and give you a DM that says, "Hey, by the way," those direct messages don't work.
Okay.
And that was actually
So
by design because I didn't want to have that kind of spam situation that you get on Mastodon where you're just getting all sorts of stuff that you don't actually care about. And
right.
so on Emissary right now today, if I receive a message that isn't from someone that I already follow, it'll just throw the message away. It won't even look at it or give me a chance to do anything with it. It just says, well, this isn't something I'm following, so it's not a part of my RSS feed, so get rid of it. And that works great for filtering out all the junk, but it works horribly if I want to interact with people over DMs. So one of the big projects I have on my roadmap is to fix DMs.
okay. So where do you see Emissary's role? Because right now you're using it to power Bandwagon, which we'll get to Bandwagon
Mhm.
in a second because I absolutely love not only the idea, but I absolutely love the design of it. But
Cool.
what is your end goal for something like Emissary? Is it again to empower developers to take it and use it like in corporate settings? Is it for end users to run again in place of Mastodon? Is it for everything? We all so Ben. Excuse me. I'm getting over a chest cold, so Ben just has this big grin on his face, and I already know the answer, but every developer does this, right? It's like what is the saying? The last 5% takes 95% of the time, right? So, but
Yeah. But you have seen me. I
yeah,
think this is really the end game with Emissary. This is my goal. Um, so there's a lot of overlapping things, and they just posted the video from FediCon where I tried to lay out some of this stuff, um, and I did a decent job of it, but there's still more, and I overran all the time for questions anyway, so we didn't
yeah,
even get into everything I wanted to do. But um, I think that everyone needs to be able to be on the Fediverse. And to do that, Fediverse software has to be a lot cheaper and easier to run.
yes,
And
yes,
right now, I can go on to Mastodon and kind of, leech off of Mastodon Social like I do, and maybe I pay
hmm
them a little bit of money for it, but I just get Mastodon. I just get that one experience meant for, the kind of 80% of everybody, not for the specifics that I really care about. And so Bandwagon is an example of taking a server where we've got most of the work already done for us, and then a tiny little customizable shell on top that makes it work for me the way I need to as a musical artist or as a band. Um, and so where I see Emissary fitting in is not just for bands or journalists or videographers or local library communities or the local game meetup, but
right.
there's this long tail of communities where everyone has these very specific things that they need for their one niche, but a generalized server can't really
Do
handle
that,
that,
right.
but a customized server could. And so if we could make it really, really easy to make a million different kinds of customized servers, so everyone has the grand infrastructure of, a fully operational battle station, um, like a fully operational activity pub server below them. But then to make something for my community, I just need something really lightweight on top of it. We could have Fediverse applications for everybody. And that's what I want MSA to do.
Okay. Well, Nets, I was just seeing the other day someone talking. You mentioned WordPress, right? WordPress gave us the easy ability for anyone to create a blog. And
Hmm.
that has led, like, so WordPress, I don't know how they're tied in with Ghost, but I know Ghost powers a lot of independent journalism now because they don't have to mess with the tech stuff. It has given
Hmm.
small companies the power to have a big voice, to make nice looking things, to get out there and reach their audience. And that's kind of what you
Hmm.
want is here's a simple base, take it, do whatever you want to do with it,
Hmm.
and just create. And so then would you say that because Bandwagon is built on Emissary, would you say that Bandwagon is kind of the test bed or the way to show off what Emissary can do?
Absolutely. That was the whole point of it. Um, I love music. I've played drums my whole life. I'm actually pretty
Okay.
good with drums. I suck at guitar, but that's fine. I love music, but I didn't start off to do anything in music. I went to Fed Forum a while ago and
Yep.
wanted to show off Emissary. I said, "Hey, I made this thing. You can do anything with it. What should we do with it?" And a bunch of people said, "Music." And I said, "Okay." And so then there you go. And they're like,
Well,
"Well, that's what I'm doing now."
and it's interesting because that's the thing I feel like everyone knows you for is Bandwagon. which is not, it's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing because again, you get a
Mhm.
way in to say, hey, by the way, not only did I create Bandwagon, but I created the tool that allows you to create your own. And
And there's a lot of back and forth too, because Emissary, as it exists on production today, is nothing like what it was when I first launched Bandwagon. I needed all kinds of stuff that I hadn't even thought of. I didn't even know I was going to need because I wasn't really planning to do anything in music. And so once that starts, well, then that feeds a bunch of features that have to go back down into the core.
no,
And
and
so it's been a
that's,
it's been a good relationship, yeah, both back and forth.
yeah, no, that's I feel like a lot of developers don't understand that. Like I'm building an engine, right? Here's an engine, use it. And it doesn't get a lot of uptake because people can't really find it. No one really looks for an engine. They look for what kind of thing do I want to create and then what can I
Hmm.
create? What can I create it on? And I feel like I've seen a lot of this lately. Well, it's not Mindtest anymore. Luanti, I don't know if you know that. It's free and open source
No.
Minecraft clone that they're focused on building the engine and then people can build on top of it. Or there's another game called Valoran. They're a Rust written engine and they wanted to show that a game engine can be written in Rust. So they created the game Valoran and now they have, it leads people into it.
Yeah.
Bandwagon, I have it up, on the screen for folks to see. Again, is gorgeous. I love the discovery portal here. You have, and I didn't even know you could do this until I watched your FediCon video. For those that don't know, again, FediCon was a conference in Vancouver. I hated I couldn't go, but I went on a family vacation anyway, so I didn't miss it for not a good reason. I had a very good reason. My wife, though, was like, let's see if we can go. And it's like, we're going to Maine. Vancouver's on the other side of
Mm.
the continent. We're not going to get there. It's like next year. We'll plan around
They're
it.
both north.
Yeah,
You've already gone the north. You now just have to
let's go, go
go
west.
west.
Yeah. Um, but Ben, uh, uh, I think it was during that where you're talking about integrating in not only a search for album and artist, but integrating it more into ActivityPub, right? You can search via hashtag from Bandwagon. And this can tie into Mastodon, right?
Yeah, you can follow a set of search queries. So you can put a search query into Bandwagon and then click the follow button. And then whenever a new album shows up that matches those search, it'll show up in your inbox.
See,
And as
that's
far as I know, no one else does that.
and that's God.
Now, 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 here's where it gets really cool because Bandwagon has what, five different searches? You can search by artist or album or song or event or post, something like that. I hope I got it right. I wrote it. But each one of those, that's all using the same search engine. It's just been skinned a little bit differently. That's the emissary templates working so that I have a skin for searching by albums and a skin for searching by events. And if we end up doing something else, we can search by that specific thing too.
See, and that's so right there. That's the thing. Like we are so used to I follow a person or a band, right? I want to follow them and see what's going on. But just an event, like I mean, a bit. We know I'm not into rock concerts anymore, but the only one I can think of is like Lollapalooza. I don't even know if that's a thing or has been a thing, but if I could follow that, and then you just follow that event, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this person announced they're coming. This person announced they're coming. We can get everything, all of that information in one place, and you can consume
Mhm.
it however you want. Like this is why I love the Fediverse, because you look at these different ways and can just implement it and can just go and we can all benefit from this. And that to me is the real power of this stuff. When I heard that you did like hashtags, and I pulled up a hashtag, and it recommends hashtags as soon as you do it. So I first one was 1980, and I was born in 1980, so I had to go with that. And it came up with
Oh,
those.
you're a baby. That's great. That's so cute.
Am I a baby? I don't know. My kids tell me I'm ancient. So
Yeah.
but so it came up with the special whispers, but right here in the upper right, which I think the camera is over right now, there's follow for updates, RSS, and then with a Fediverse account, and it prompts you for this. And again, another thing that I know was a big topic of discussion at FediCon was this sucks, right? The whole follow with the Fediverse account, and then you got to jump through multiple hoops, and I know people are working on that as well. But that's incredible. Like, and you have calendar events in here, and it says there's no events coming up, and like this
Hmm.
is beautiful. And again, it's all built on Emissary, right? And
Yeah.
I think, at least with the conversations and the topics that I've talked to with, everyone calls you the bandwagon developer, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's fine because sort of
right,
were you saying this on stream or before? But like, people, yeah, people find the content they're looking for, and that leads them back into the technology. People don't start off looking for the
yes,
technology. It's like, I'm looking for a band. They're probably not even looking for federated band software. They're just trying to find the local band that played on Saturday, and if I could get that local band into Bandwagon, would be great because they'd find them here and then they'd follow
yeah,
the trail down.
yeah. No, and it's because you have the opportunity again to even do like, because you follow hashtags. If the local bar, was Joe's Bar and Grill or whatever, and the band was there, you can search hashtag Joe's Bar and Grill, and then you see everyone that played. And then if you can filter like, on a specific date or something, and the hashtag is in there, you can have all that information in there, and the search solves itself, right?
Hmm.
We so do you have to index everything to catch these? Like, if I ran my own bandwagon server, that actually is on the Fediverse as well. So they federate, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a great point. So right now, the whole thing is very new, and I've been actually
Yeah.
I've been discouraging other people from launching their own servers until about now, not because it doesn't work, but because it's taking so much. There's so much development that's going on to it
Sure. Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
it's hard to support other people who are on a different version or something. But the plan is I really want there to be a lot of other bandwagon servers. And then those search engines will talk to each other.
Yeah.
I don't have other servers right now to like prove it, but it's all built out so that when you have another search engine over there, the two can talk. And so it's sort of one enormous federated search engine.
Right.
So you
Because in
can go to
reality,
any server. Yeah.
yeah, you want to allow, again, I'm not good with band names, Nine Inch Nails to run their own, but still be able to, like, I have a local band, I can't even think of anything. Uh,
The
here
Frisky
come
Biscuits.
the Frisky Biscuits, but on my server I could still find Nine Inch Nails stuff, right? You
Yeah.
empower people. Again, the FediCon videos were so massively amazing, and
Hmm.
I again loved that. You made me think. Geez, I'm going a million directions. Sorry. I told you I was excited to
There's
talk to you.
so much. That's the thing. There's so many things, and they all overlap. And if you ever just try to talk about one part of it, you miss the real reason that made that part so cool. Because there's this other part over here that actually it
Yes.
all ties together. And now you look like that guy with like the crazy murder board behind him, and you're trying to explain the whole thing. But it all makes sense
Yeah.
in my head, but I can't focus. I can't bring it all into just a simple,
Into one
straightforward statement.
image, right? But
Yeah.
it's funny because you start off the presentation with like saying we're federated and decentralized is not enough, right?
Hmm.
And I've really been thinking about that because that's the argument we all make. Well, why would I care? Why should I go to this other thing? Because it's decentralized, because it's federated, because you can run your own. But why would I want to? And then you nailed it, because at the end you said that is our superpower, in that you can leave. The
Hmm.
portability is the weakness and the strength, in that you can leave. Look at it that way. Like, we leave things all the time, and we don't think about it that way. That, and I love that. And I know that Corey said the same thing, but
Yeah. if we can get real portability in place, which right now we don't have. We have plans
Right.
for it, and that's great. Um, but take Bandwagon as an example. What I'm telling people to do is look, sign up here, and I'm gonna charge you eventually for this. Not much, but a
Right.
little bit. Keep the lights on. But I promise I won't charge you anything until I give you the chance to take it wherever you want to go. But
Right.
this is more than just take my name and my profile picture and my followers, give me a CSV export and have me try to figure out how to upload that into some other Mastodon
No,
server.
yeah, that's
Like,
not.
I have a lot of other stuff that doesn't really fit into ActivityPub. You've got albums and songs and posts, and then people who
Right.
have bought those albums. I need those purchases to transfer somewhere else as well. And so all of that very complex data has to go to another place seamlessly if I click a button and approve it with my password. And we don't have that capability yet. But I think that there's people who are working on it. I have promised I'm going to do that before I charge money, so I have a very strong incentive to make this thing work. We're gonna at some point have real portability, and I think
Yes.
that is where the dam starts to break in terms of the story for joining on the Fediverse.
Well, and another thing that you talked about during the Fediverse is how do we fund these platforms,
Hmm.
right? And I think that while a lot of people and at Fedi Forum I was there, we were talking about how do we do that. There's a many models. There's freemium
Hmm.
model, there's subscription model, there's donations and whatnot. And you actually talked about how you did a poll, and the poll, I think it was there, or was it? You might have talked to Lorenzo about this. This might have been a while. Sorry, I might get your things, but you did a poll saying, how best should I fund the platform? And folks
Hmm.
overwhelmingly said, will you be the processor? You take 10% and give us the rest. And that's dangerous. Like,
Yes.
as I've had this conversation with, like, I have a nonprofit organization now called BT Free that I'm trying to get up and running. And like, being the payment processor gets into a lot of accounting and legal realms that you
It's
don't
a
really want to do.
huge job.
Yeah.
It's a huge job. Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. One of the thoughts that I've had that I've seen recently is a lot of websites are like, hey, pay the author 100%. Oh, yeah, by the way, do you want to tip us $1 or something like that? And you just click a box and it automatically adds it. And that way, you essentially have two transactions.
Hmm.
Have you thought of something like that?
Yeah. Um, and there's all kinds of different ways you can structure it.
Right,
And
right.
so I'm always splitting my conversations into, well, which layer of the application are we talking? We're talking about Emissary, the platform that
And
should allow
that's
you to do whatever you want, or are we
right.
talking about, Bandwagon the app, or specifically bandwagon.fm that I'm running? So
Excellent
even
points.
Bandwagon is set up so that you can do it you can set up those payments any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
What I have come to for Bandwagon FM, it's still not 100% finalized, but it's past the gelatinous stage, like it's almost solid. Um, is that well, for some whole other reasons that we could talk about if you want, I don't want to touch people's money so much.
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
massive PTSD from my last gig of handling people's transactions. I've actually sworn to never touch other people's money again. So I have to work around
Yeah.
that. And everyone did say, just take a percentage. And it turns out through Stripe, I actually probably could do that, but I just don't want to. So in order
Yes.
to keep things simple for me, Bandwagon is going to be just like a flat, again, very small fee. But then all the money will go to the artists when they sell something. And I'm going to try to make that make sense by making it making the value of what you pay for more than just you can sell stuff here. There should be other things that you get when you pay for that premium service, that you don't get when you get the free service. So the free thing should
Right.
work straight up across the board for everything, but maybe you
And
have a
that's
higher quality stream if you're paying for Premiere, or you can
right.
sell
And
things, or you get a cute little widget. There will be other tools that you get for paying for Premiere that you don't necessarily need, but they're nicer than just getting the free version.
well, and that's
Um,
that's the freemium model essentially, right? You get it
yeah.
for free, but there's a premium that you can add. And I look at because I'm trying to figure out the same thing, right? And I look at for mine right now, all I'm hosting is PeerTube, and there's not a lot out there, right? That's still
Hmm.
very early, just like everything else. If this is going to take off, we're in. Again, did you have the yeah? You had the graph that showed like whoops, early adopters and things like that. And right now, we're
Right.
not even early adopters. We're day one, right?
Hmm.
And that freemium model of like, hey, you can get a gigabyte for free, and then anything more than that, because that's kind of how Proton Mail does it, is you
Hmm.
get so much for free, and then if you want more, you add on to it, which I think is a great model for those that have the currency that gets people in the door that say, later on, maybe I do want this. With
Hmm.
audio, it seems to me, I'm the type of person, I'm not a musician. I don't have a good ear, so maybe it doesn't matter, but like I go with the lowest quality audio and I'm fine.
Hmm.
But I'm also the type that if I'm getting a lot of value out of it, I want to kick in $5 or whatever. And that
Yeah.
helps. Because there was a lot of conversation again, and I know that you've kind of thought about this a lot, and you're working on something. Was it an emissary to help do that kind of funding?
Yeah. Well, Emissary is going to be, the platform where you can charge money. Um,
Right.
and
Okay.
I guess I got a very different response at Fedicon than I expected because I was expecting a whole lot of pushback. And everyone's like, yeah, let's charge money. And I recognize because I've had a lot of conversations with people who are very, very wary of bringing money into this space. And I absolutely get it.
Yep.
And I want to make sure that like everyone thinks that, or not thinks, everyone knows that is heard and needs to be taken into
Yes.
account.
Yes.
So you know, money and power, too much of it in the wrong hands is bad. And I think a lot of people here are just have
We.
responded very viscerally to that.
Yeah.
And in the conversations that I've had on Mastodon, it's actually gone really well when I said, yes, I understand completely, we don't want to turn this into just a commercial shopping mall.
Yes.
But if you focus on, I want to make sure that the people who are creating good stuff can get paid for their work and can get paid
Yeah.
directly for their work, then suddenly all of, my socialist comrades are like, yes, brother, we should do that. Get paid directly for your work. So,
Yeah.
you just kind of you have to look at the problem from the other point of view.
And it's yes, money has to come into it. And again, please everyone go watch Ben's FediCon presentation because it has to, right? People need to eat, people need to get paid. We want people to be able to have a full-time job on the Fediverse because that
That.
feeds back into the Fediverse, right?
Hmm.
If Ben Pate could spend his entire 40 hours plus whatever he's doing now just on that, just one person doing that, it ends up moving faster. You can fix bugs easier. You can talk to people more. And it is necessary. And when we were at Fedi Forum, this past one, which I hope you're going to be at the next one. I don't know if you are. I am.
Hopefully.
Then people are talking about, well, we don't want ads in the Fediverse. And I think we can all agree
Hmm.
the ads that we've had are terrible,
Hmm.
but they make money. And that's important to feed back into the Fediverse. And I actually said at one point to someone, like, I understand you don't want ads. I don't want ads. But if the Fediverse is going to succeed, there will be ads. Now, they're not going to look like what we have today, I don't think. Even if you consider, like, again, Coca-Cola is on the Fediverse, they are going to spout their message. That is an advertisement, right? But if you can get a big player like that interested, then they could donate money back into it, right? Like, oh, we run the emissary server. We need Ben to fix these issues. Ergo, we need to donate to him, or you have a subscription model or something.
Hmm.
Like that's another way that I see this working is a kind of subscription model. I used to work at Red Hat, so I look at
Hmm.
that where they sell No one thought you could make money off of free software,
Yeah.
and you
Red
can.
Hat was a fantastic innovator in that way, and
Yeah.
that's very much something I'm looking forward or looking at as one possibility. I would love for there to be a developer ecosystem around
Yes.
Emissary, and um, yeah, at some point, if you have a big player who's launching something big, they can pay for a couple of little upgrades that really make this thing work for them. Or you know what, they can build them themselves and then commit it back upstream.
Yes. And that's I talked to my accountant because I have an accountant because I'm a real boy now, I guess. Uh,
Good job.
I- and she's like, especially being a nonprofit organization, there are big companies that will, just give you grants and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but it's
Hmm.
probably not much. And she's like, it's $10,000. And I'm like, that to me changes everything. That to them is pennies.
Hmm.
They don't care. So even if you can
Yeah.
get, say, one company that's like, yeah, we'll give you $10,000 a year, like that matters. That's a significant impact. That's not going to pay your entire
Yeah.
year, but you only need a couple of those companies to do that, right?
That's a nice bump. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then you get a couple more companies on, and this is all way down the line. I don't think we're anywhere near
Yeah.
near this,
No, I
but
I I both brag and undercut myself. I'm looking forward to being able to say I have 500 people on the
yes,
Fediverse
I yeah.
using Emissary. And so like that's very, very tiny. There's a lot of potential. I'm really excited about it, but I don't want to overstate it as something larger than it is right now. If it were a
But
Mastodon server, it would barely register.
right, but that's the thing. We're talking about different levels of scale. And again, we
Yeah.
talk about Google. They need millions of people to make a difference,
Hmm.
right? We don't need that. We need
Hmm.
500. We need 1,000. Like one of the folks that I know when I started PeerTube, I asked her if she wanted to come on, and we haven't gotten there yet, but she's like, oh, of course, I want to get off Google. I only have a couple hundred
Hmm.
people following there. And it's like, oh, well, doing Fireside Fedi, I have, I think, 1,000 people following me. She's like, oh my God, that many? I was like,
Good job.
is that a lot?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, if you think about it, you're sitting in a room with 1,000 people. That's a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not Google. I don't need millions of people, but I feel
Hmm.
like there's so many people that look at these things like, well, you're never going to get 10 million people. Well, I don't need 10 million.
Yeah.
We're back to the early days of the internet where we do this for fun, and it'd be nice to get
Hmm.
paid for it. But you're not doing this to get rich, I'm assuming. It'd be nice. But what, like, the total amount of money you've made is nowhere near what you've put into it, right?
Oh, I haven't made any money off of Emissary
Yeah.
or any of this stuff. No, this is all just what I want to do, and there may be money in the future, but honestly, this is not a money thing for me. Um, you were mentioning ads earlier, and
Hmm.
I'm I think I'm kind of down on ads. Like I'm one of those people who like ads are what led us to the inshitification of the world.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that there probably is some way to do ads better. And I feel like the Fediverse can probably figure that out. I'm not gonna try, like I'm already overbooked.
Yeah.
But I think that there's probably a way with, social responsibility. Oh, I haven't had a really good way of saying it. Now I forget it. But
No.
social pressure. If you want to post ads, that's fine. But if you,
Sorry, excuse
oh,
me.
he's coughing. What should we do? Um, but if you go too
Uh,
far with it, people will just defederate you and shut you down. So I think there's some way for the Fediverse to come up with a better model for doing ads. But I hope that they don't become so prevalent that it's like watching Amazon TV right now.
yeah. And I, again, from your Fediverse video, which I literally watched last night, and my 8-year-old was sitting there just in awe of your presentation.
Oh
And
my.
yeah, no, he liked it. It was good. And again,
Good.
swearing, whatever. Because I know you said that at the beginning, like what was it, for those faint of heart or something
There's,
like that.
there's Fediverse potty words. I said money.
The
I
potty
said
words, yeah.
profit.
Yeah.
I said some really bad words on the Fediverse.
But you showed a word. What's the hell's that called? With all the different words on it, a word cloud.
Like the word cloud, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that you again mentioned is the issue isn't the money. The issue is the centralization of money and the centralization of
Hmm.
power. And that's the whole idea is keep the money, but disperse it to everyone, all of the creators. And like, I don't know about you, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous that not only do they create platforms, they take massive cuts because you're just someone that they see as a burden, even though you're the one creating all the content for them to sell anything. And then they change the rules and don't take responsibility for anything,
Hmm.
right? So what we're saying is cut out the middleman essentially, and you take the money and you take your responsibility however you want to do it, and let
Hmm.
everyone decide.
And you pay for the platform that, because there's a certain part of that that you don't want to do. You don't actually want to build the
Right.
website and the activity pub integration and all the things and do database logs and security for the credit cards, and like you don't want to do that part. So someone has to do that work. And that
Right.
work shouldn't be in some, giant centralized platform, although we can talk about that too. Like there are economies of scale, and that's why those giant platforms have come to be. But once it gets to that level, then things tend to go bad. So if we had tiny little ones where the bulk of that work is already done for you, and you can just customize that thin shell on top of it that's going to make it look and work the way that you want it to work, well, that seems like it's a lot more interesting. I I do think, like, Steve Jobs did this amazing interview one time that I couldn't even paraphrase well, but he was talking about, eventually he was talking about kind of enshittification, but he said, in the beginning we were like a product company, and um, that was what made Apple successful. And then we brought in a CEO who was from Pepsi,
Oh
Coca-Cola.
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And he said that, in those companies, they're not innovating anymore. So the people who rise to the top are the money guys. I just derisively call them all money nerds now. But, he came in, and his one job was to optimize the money. He's a money nerd, so that's what he does. And the problem where there was that the innovators were no longer in charge, and Apple started to decline. And then he came back and turned it all around, and it was great. But he said that you need to have the product people in charge of a company so that you're innovating on your product and building new things going forward. What happens with the large platforms, which Cory Doctorow in his Feta Forum keynote
Mm-hmm.
again said better than I ever could, is that the innovators will build something, and then it becomes very successful, and then the money nerds come in, and uh, they just try to squeeze more money out of it. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a natural process. It's not ever evil at any one stage of the game, but it slowly slides towards this loss of privacy and control. Because
Right.
it's
Yep.
successful, well, now it's our responsibility as, fiduciary, it's our fiduciary responsibility, whatever, as, directors of the company, to generate more money for the company. And so that's where they go.
And you're incentivized to lock your customers in to keep that cash cow going,
Yeah.
right? And we see that with the whole cloud. And it seems like technology swings back and forth from big centralized systems to single host your own systems and then back. And that's what
Hmm.
the cloud essentially is no different than 75 years ago with the mainframes, right? That's what
Hmm.
they want to move to. And then hopefully we'll swing back. And it's funny you say this because I remember Dilbert. There was a Dilbert cartoon, and I don't know if you ever saw the cartoon, but
I used to love Dilbert.
so good. Not a fan of the creator, but Dilbert was great. Uh, and he gets out of his company and goes to a new company, and like it's the mecca for engineers. Build whatever you want, and then he's like, well, what about marketing and finance. And they're like, what is this marketing and finance? And he explains to them that, and like, he comes in like the next day or something, and they had hired marketing and finance, and the entire company is on fire because now
Hmm.
we can't do anything because we just have to focus on the money. You focus less on making a good product and more on how do I squeeze money out of it. And
Yeah.
I'm a cynic. I'm not a huge fan of big corporate America anymore, even though I exist in it. So take my very biased view as you will. But yeah, that's, and again we get back to passionate people making passionate things, and all we want to do is continue to do that and finance a basic lifestyle of, can I, put clothes on my kids? Can I
Hmm.
eat? Can I own a house? Stuff like that. And again, that brings me back to, this feels like the early internet,
To me too. Yeah.
and that's hopeful.
Yeah. There's another aspect of open source software that I guess it's kind of obvious, but I think we overlook it a lot. That I think open source software can drive innovation in closed source software. It's
Yes.
basically sets the bare minimum. It's like if we're building something for free, well, if you want to charge for it, you have to be at least better than this.
Yeah.
And so as open source software continues to improve and get better, well, the closed software, the corporate or the for sale software necessarily has to. If we ever catch them, then it's done. And
Right.
I'm not saying that we ever will. I think that well, I'd like us to catch some of them, but go ahead, you.
No, no. My camera tracks my movement when it senses
Oh,
hand
okay.
things. And because I talk with my hands a lot, it's constantly like going on and shifting. So I have to do this in order to turn it off.
Oh,
I
I thought you
wasn't
were like
holding my
raising your hand like I was talking too long.
Mr. Pate, I have a question. Damn it, I did it again.
Or was it like, hand to God, I believe? Um,
No. Please continue.
yeah, I think that's just the point that if open source software gets better and better,
Yep.
then it pushes the envelope forward for closed source software. I think that closed networks like Facebook, LinkedIn, Reddit, all the rest, and I'm on Reddit all day long. Um, they have a fundamental advantage over the Fediverse in usability and accessibility and a lot of things
Right.
because it's a organized central team who's building this thing, and the Fediverse is like pew 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 crazy stuff. But um, I think that as we improve, then they're going to have to change their game. If the Fediverse passes, we're at 1 million users now. Let's say the Fediverse has 100 million users. We're still tiny, tiny, tiny on that graph, but it starts to put pressure on things, places like Facebook or Reddit, to be more open or more transparent about what they're doing.
Well, and that's Corey again in his wonderful keynote speech talked about how there are
Hmm.
laws in motion, things in motion to basically force these companies to open up. The way that I explain it to older folks is, everyone has a cell phone, right? In the US in the 90s, early 2000s, whenever you went to a new cell phone company, you had to get a new cell phone number. And I
Hmm.
actually worked at a cell phone company, Alltel, when it went through that that's no longer allowed. Legally, that cell phone number is yours, that is you, you're allowed to port it anywhere. So there is
Hmm.
historical background for this, right? Like, that is your digital identity is you.
Sure.
You should be allowed to port it. Do you think, and most likely this will come out of Europe first because,
Europe.
yeah, uh, and do you think that that is the solution, and that ActivityPub is at the right place, is at the right time to be the answer, or is Facebook, who actually does have threads and already has a leg up, and Reddit and Google and Apple and Twitter are going to try and push their own, like go the blue sky route or something like that?
Hmm. I don't know. I would doubt that it is in a very large network's best interest to do any sort of data portability like that.
Yeah, right.
Um, and So, and I also really doubt that we can legislate this. I love laws. I think laws are the best, but it's hard to legislate some things, especially when you pass a law that's relatively fixed. It's like a fixed fortification, right? Fixed fortifications are great, but they have to be manned. And eventually, a larger force will always overcome, fixed fortifications. I'm a huge like nerd around Byzantium and the Eastern Roman Empire, and
Oh, wow, really?
they had
This is
this
great.
amazing like advanced technology from the ancient days that literally could not be replicated in 1400 when they finally fell to the Turks. Like no one could build walls like the walls they had, but it didn't matter because they just got overwhelmed. And sorry,
No, no,
I
I love
talk, but
this. No, keep going. Keep going. You're fine.
well, I would just say that I think laws are very slow to make, and the
Yes.
people who want
Yep.
to get around the laws are very, very fast.
Yes.
And so it's really easy to um, get around some sort of data portability law, and it's really hard to then update the law and keep patching it for all the new exploits that people have found to get around it. I think that instead of a legal solution on that, I think a technological solution, a social pressure solution works better, which is basically,
Well,
no, you go find, you don't have data portability. That's great. We will, and we'll see what people want more.
and it's interesting because being in the position I'm in with not only talking to yourself, but I go around and I'm an advocate of the Fediverse and I, wear shirts and I talk to people. Everyone's sick of
I
it.
wear shirts too. Sorry.
I mean, I mean, oh,
There was a whole thing about shirts before this thing, and so I was like really nervous, and I ended up just with whatever was on top. But
well, I have like the
at least I got the right
ampersand
color.
and I have the United Federation of the Fediverse. It's like I'm an advocate. I will go out and I will talk to anyone and I'll talk their ear off. And again, you gave me a new talking point of portability. You can leave
Hmm.
whenever you want, right? But everyone's sick and tired of it. They know the abuses that they're taking.
Hmm.
They know that they hate it, but they don't think they have a choice.
Hmm.
And I'm in the camp I reached out to some of my senators to be like, hey, with the new laws coming down the road, do you know about these things? You can host your own kind of a thing. And there was a lot of pushback on the Fediverse. There was a lot of people
Hmm.
like patting me on the back, and there's a lot of no, 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 no. One, we're not ready for it, and two, we don't want the U.S. government having anything to do with it.
Hmm.
I'm of the mind, again, having worked around software developers a lot, it's never going to be ready.
No.
It will never be perfect. It's always going to be a state of, well, we need another feature, we need another thing,
Hmm.
until, again, like you do with Bandwagon, until you get something out there and see where you're falling down and having people test it and giving answers and failing and succeeding, you don't know, right? Where do you kind of stand on that? And I want to get into the governmental conversation after this, because you're in the
Okay.
same kind of camp as I. But where do you feel that, like, we're not ready for 8 billion people? We're on the same
No.
page of we want everyone, and Jazz is on the same page and kind of got me there too. That we want everyone. I want everyone. I don't care if you don't want to interact with everyone. You should have that possibility, but we
Hmm.
want everyone should have a right to this. But where do you see the Fediverse today? If everyone decided, yeah, let's go to it, you know, where are the pain points? Where are the successes?
Oh God, there's a lot of pain points.
Yes, a lot.
And I think they outweigh the successes. And I think this is pretty well talked about and pretty well understood. I'm certainly not the expert in this area, but Fediverse usability is not there. It is
Hmm.
getting better, and there's a lot of very smart people who are putting a lot of effort into it. Um, I break it down into there's app level experience and then there's sort of ecosystem level experience. And app
Yes.
level experience, one app to the next, there's all kinds of things that people could do better. Um, Down to silly little things that don't feel like they matter to the developer, but have a huge impact on end users. Down to the labels of buttons need to be really clear, or else you can confuse people and they don't know where to go. Um,
Yes.
So an example of that, the sign up process is
Oh yeah, there's lots
notoriously
of
bad.
discussing. Yeah.
And just within each application, the sign up process is bad. You start an
Yep.
application and then you're probably being asked, even Bandwagon does this, a whole lot of not really important questions. And I need to improve this in Bandwagon because you get in and like page 2 is like, what colors do you want? Like, I don't care about my
Yeah.
colors right now. And
Yeah.
I've gotten the workflow better. I've made a lot of improvements based on community feedback. But
Hmm.
get in, what's your name? Let's upload an album. Let's get to the most important thing first.
Yes.
Let's get what
Thank
is
you.
standing between like the sign up and first value.
Yes.
That's something that corporate networks have large teams of usability people studying this constantly, and they're constantly refining and honing that experience. And we're not, we just kind of throw something up and say, well, what background color do you want? Is it FF000 or CC6699? You know,
Right. It's a very
personally, I go EO, EO, EO.
it's a very engineer type way, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
it is less human, and you think it is a good thing, but yeah, it's less human. You need to basically, I want to use a hammer. I don't want to, say what kind of head I want, what the handle color should be. It can
Yeah.
only hit this kind of nail. I just want to use the damn hammer.
Hmm.
And then if I want to come back and put racing stripes on my hammer, I should be able to easily find that. But yeah,
Yes.
that's not exactly that is an excellent point. And one thing, sorry, go ahead.
Well, stay here because the next part is the protocol level stuff, and I think that's even the more important part because applications will come and
Right.
go, and people will do better or worse on various things. But you were
Right.
still making a point, and I don't want to cut you off. Keep going, please.
No, no, no,
I'll
no.
raise my
And
hand when it's my turn.
thank you. Yes. No. It's all right. Um, one of the things that you mentioned again was the ecosystem, which we don't think of it like that. We think of it as servers, but
No.
in reality, it is all different ecosystems. It is all cultures. There's one overarching ecosystem that is the Fediverse. But that's how we need to look at it too. And I think that's a perfect analogy because when one of those ecosystems gets out of balance, we've seen it time and time again where it flames out,
Hmm.
right? Servers, people are overwhelmed, they're, whatever, and it goes away. I like that idea of an ecosystem because it gets you in the idea of how do we balance this? How do we pull someone into the ecosystem easily? Um,
Hmm.
but you were mentioning the protocol, and I
Yes.
I absolutely agree with that. It starts at the protocol. All of this has we've been able to do all this because of the protocol, right?
Hmm.
So you go on with what you wanted to talk about with the protocol because there's again
So
developers are never going to agree. There's a million ways to do anything. Is red better? Is blue better? Right? And that's a lot of this comes down to that. But where do
yeah,
where do you feel out the protocol here?
every every Fediverse developer I've talked with, and there are plenty I haven't, but I've met a couple of them now, and it's really fun. But every one of us agrees we all hate activity pubs so much. Um, it is
We love the Fediverse. We just hate the Fediverse. That
it's it's not a protocol. It's like three documents in a trench coat. It's um,
okay.
and I need to be careful here because it's one more thing. It's like the democracy of federated software.
Oh, shit.
It's the worst option there, except for all the others.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
think you know, ActivityPub has its problems. It has its warts. As you said, though, it's here now. It's in the right place at the right time. It's the tool
Yes.
we have, and it works. So um, I think it's important for us to just keep pushing forward and keep looking at use cases that were not expected nearly 10 years ago when they were getting started, maybe 5 years ago when they're getting started. Um, and I wasn't there in those, early conversations. I don't know all of the work that they had to do in the room to get it to that point.
Right.
But I do see where they were working to replicate what social media was and to open that up. And I
Yep.
think ActivityPub has been fantastic for that. Where it falls down is in reaching out into the whole web and interconnecting between other servers in ways that regular social media doesn't even do. So it wasn't even on the roadmap. The big thing that the nail I've been hammering, and Julian Lamb from NodeBB has
Yep.
also brought this up. I think there's now kind of a consensus forming around this next problem we need to solve. So I want to, like, I love Activity Pub. Activity Pub is great. I love it so much I want to make it better. But
Yes.
it's really hard to work with for this specific case. If you right now, or if it wasn't Bandwagon, but I had made some other band site, right? And you're out on the internet and you're going around and you find the band, you find the Frisky Whiskers, right? Frisky Biscuits, and they're perfect. You love their, their kazoo vibe. How am I gonna follow these guys? Well, right now you have to like copy that URL and go back to your
Yeah,
Mastodon
it's
client,
right.
paste it in, or like there's this whole weird process of getting from the site you found back to how you want to follow them on the Fediverse. Instead, if you want to follow them on Facebook, they put a little Facebook like button. You click the button,
Yep.
and then it does the thing and it works, and you don't have to think about it. That's where Facebook wins. And so for us to take the next step forward with the protocol, and this is that usability ecosystem wide thing where I'm trying to look at ways that we move the whole thing forward usability wise, not just individual servers. They need to interconnect better than they do.
Yes.
So I put out
And
something. Julian has put out some other
mhm.
ideas. We're kind of arguing over whose spec is bigger, and we're going to figure out a way
It's
to.
not, let me tell you, Ben, it's not the size of your spec. It is how you
I
use it.
understand.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I have taken what I've done and actually made that live on Bandwagon. It doesn't work with anyone else because no one else
Yet.
supports my spec, but I'm
Yet. Yeah.
working on that. And actually, what we're doing, what Julie and I are doing, is trying to see where are the overlaps and can we maybe
Yes.
merge this together into one coherent
Well,
concept.
so you said, oh God, you said so many things. I love it. First off,
Sorry.
no, you, because of FediCon, I actually reached out to Julian as well, and I'm going to try and get him set up for September to talk to Julian because, again, for those that are not in software, all they see is oh shit, things changed, I have to adapt and whatnot, right? And
Hmm.
this again, I think is the strength of something like ActivityPub in that it's open source. We can all evolve it. You submitted a whole spec on how to make it better. And then on the other hand, a lot of folks are like, oh God, not another spec. Oh God, like there's two competing specs. It's like
Hmm.
they're not competing. They are working in different ways to come to a similar solution. And maybe somewhere in the middle is the answer. But it sounds like, and as you said, I mean, you said ActivityPub is not ready, which we can all agree with. It is has issues with performance. It has issues and Julian's whole talk was, how do you get involved fully in the conversation? And it's a nightmare. I'm wondering, because you were there for all of this, Evan was there. Like, do they, and I'm sure they do, but where does Evan and the whole W3C, what is Open Social Web Council, stand on something like this?
Um,
And I mean, it's not fair to
I
ask you to say
Yeah,
that, but
I'm not really the guy. I don't know.
okay.
But I think what I've seen is that the W3C is working on things. Like they're actively working to make things better too. They're not just sitting on their hands. There are a number of different working groups that are working on account portability or threaded discussions, which is that whole how do I follow the whole conversation thing. I have just gone on a tear on that on my own software. I'm about to like do a video. Like this is the conversation that broke me and made me say I need to fix this. Like there are
Yeah.
sorry, there are a lot of different working groups at the W3C where they're trying to do this. And I think the mechanism seems sound, which is look, we have these specs and we will update them at some point, but there's a lot of innovation happening right now, and that's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
So let the innovation
That
happen at the application level. When you come up with something cool, you publish that as an FEP, Fediverse Enhancement Proposal, right?
Oh, is that
Anyone
what
can
that
publish
is?
one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. You publish your thing, and then you get other people to support your thing. And one of the bottom sections on just about every FEP is like, here's all the other people who are doing it. You should too. And it's kind of like that social proof of
Okay.
you can go to the spec and read it and see, should I implement this or not based on who else is already in the party. And I think that process is okay. Um, it's still really frustrating as a developer because you got to go and read all of them and to come up with a patchwork of what am I actually going to support. Um, but if we want to have a federated, decentralized society, I don't have a better solution than that. So
Right.
I guess what I'd say is the W3C is on it, but this kind of thing is just not necessarily slow because there's so many people involved.
Which, again, you said so much there that I want to respond to. In that, first off, anyone can go see those. Anyone can sign up to any of the committee newsletters.
Yeah,
I actually did it. It is way above me.
me too.
You got they. I don't even know. Like I started getting messages and I tried to read them. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, and I can't even figure out how to unsubscribe from them now. It's so
Oh
stupid
man,
messages.
you should be able to leave.
I can. I just can't figure it out because like it's the conversations are amazing. I didn't even know what FEP was, so thank you for that. But that is massively, massively exciting. Not that essentially the spec is kind of on pause, but because there's so much innovation. That is
There is.
great. That is, in my opinion, where this is going to win. Again, this is why the internet won. Because there are other networks out there, right? But the internet won because anyone can build anything. And
Hmm.
eventually there's that one person that everyone's like, I want that. Right? And
Hmm.
that's, I'm not trying to grab you by the throat or anything.
That's fine. I feel safe behind my screen.
Don't worry, my
Yeah.
camera will start moving in a second here again, and it'll make you seasick. But this is, again, a double-edged sword, and where open source lends a democratic kind of thing where people are going to vote by what they're using. And that might
Yeah.
not be the right answer, but it is the answer right now, or it is an
Hmm.
answer. And I absolutely love that, and I think that's great. And sorry, you were going to say?
And just democracy is slow and
It,
democracy is messy.
yep.
And but I think if we can embrace that and embrace the real lessons of how things do well in the marketplace and turn all of what Silicon Valley and VC private equity has learned about startups and turn that back into this democratic um, network, I think we have a structural advantage. We just have to be able to use it.
Right. And it's going to be slow. And things
It
are
will be slow.
and things are going to fail and things are going to, you know, and again, it takes time. But the more you keep rolling that ball, the faster it can go, right? And
That.
it's
And you said one other thing that I think I really want to highlight, which is like as a new Activity Pub developer, I just read the specs and I was angry. Just I was livid at this doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I think there are some better tutorials out there now that really bring you deeper into it.
mhm.
But I think as soon as I realized that the real work in the Fediverse Activity Pub is not in the specs anymore. Those are there, and that's the foundation.
Mhm.
But it's really in the Fediverse enhancement proposals. That's where the new work is going on. You'll see there's a ridiculous amount of work happening.
So if trying to figure out how to say this. Again, as developers take on too much. Right? Like
Sure.
you want to solve the world's problems. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we see that over and over again. If let's say you got and I are you partially funded through NLNet for Emissary, right?
No,
Oh, you're not. Okay, sorry. Didn't mean like
that's fine.
you should. I mean, you should apply for grants. You know that.
I probably should, but I think the short story is emissary is fine. I can work on it, and I'd rather that other people who where that is going to make a
Okay.
big difference if they can work on it or not,
Yeah.
they should go take that money.
So if there came a time though that like you were able to fully fund one of those projects, Emissary, Bandwagon FM, or excuse me, maybe it's to the point where just working on Emissary makes it all better. Do you
Hmm.
have one that you would work on more? Do you have a way to hand it off if you need to?
Yeah. So right now I have no like handoff succession plan. Um, I'm not so old that I'm worried about that just yet, but I know that, in 10, 15, 20 years, I probably will want to. Um, so that's kind of a tomorrow problem, but the I think to get to that problem, I have to bootstrap a developer community around
Okay.
Emissary. And I think there's several different layers to that. There's people working on Emissary core who are like Go developers who understand a lot of really technical software development
So
stuff.
you do have not maintainers what is
Oh
it?
no.
Oh,
Oh
you
no.
don't. No.
It's
Okay,
just
it's
me.
you. That's what I
These are
thought.
hypothetical future
Okay.
people. And by the way, they're great. I'd love for you to meet them. Um,
We will someday. Don't worry. We will
yeah.
someday. I'll meet someone, whether that's, from senility or whatnot. But
Absolutely. I have been working with a few people will post some things and
hmm
a few small things, but there's no one that I could really say is like a maintainer aside from me. But at the emissary core level, there needs to be a community of Go developers who really understand, the mission and the technology. Then above that, there's people who would be building something like Bandwagon, and that's a much lighter job.
yes,
You can understand all the technical stuff, but all you have to do when you're working on something like Bandwagon is you need to know HTML and JSON,
that's
and then you need to learn the specific action steps that Emissary publishes. It's really simple.
and
Um,
that blows me away right there. Is again, so showing the bandwagon page, and for those on the audio version, it is very nice. It is very clean. It blows me away that all this is some HTML and JSON. I
mhm,
like someone like me. I hate JavaScript. Like
mhm.
JavaScript does not make sense. JSON, I can at least figure it out. I can't make anything look nice. But this is beautiful, and this is straightforward, and this is simple, and it's fast, and it's just HTML and JSON, and that blows me away.
Mhm. Because all the work is being done.
By
JSON
emissary,
is
yeah,
really just a structured data format, right?
right.
And so that structured data says, do this, do this, do this. It's just the instructions for what you're going to do. And then emissary does the first thing, the second thing, the third thing. So emissary is a lot of, very technical stuff, but that by pushing all the complexity down, that allows the upper layer of the application to be really, really simple. So back to kind of what you were saying
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like, once I can bootstrap a group of developers in each one of those areas, well, then there's naturally going to be some people who can kind of take over when I get too forgetful to keep going.
So, and I think I'm pretty sure I know the answer to something like this, but let's say in 20 years, it's still just Ben Pate hacking away on emissary. I would
Hmm.
imagine you're just going to keep going. Even if something, let's say something else won out, like something else is massively used. Do you feel that you would kind of walk away and contribute to that? Or is this like, no, I'm always going to have this hobby, even if I work on something else?
It's really hard to make 20-year commitments, but this is what
Yeah. Yeah.
but this is what I plan to do the rest of my life. This is what I plan to work on. And those plans may change based on all kinds of stuff. I don't see Emissary as like in competition with Mastodon, Pixel Fed, all the rest of them. I
Bonfire
see
again.
Emissary as,
This really makes me think
yeah,
of Bonfire. Like you should. I'm gonna try and talk to them. I think next week maybe. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of similar. I think you're kind of at a more base level of build on top of my framework, where they also have that framework, but they're like, here's a nice UI to build out kind of what you want. So you're
yeah,
at the same kind of idea, but at different places
yeah.
where you're interjecting.
That would be my guess too. I just hesitated to say something like that. But Emissary is fairly low level. There's not like an
Right.
application builder.
Right.
And since you're making HTML templates, the best application builder you can use is like VS Code or something. It's not like
Okay.
I'm gonna have a drag and drop system,
Right. Right.
really. Yeah.
It's
It's
interesting.
lower level than that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think I'd just keep going on this. And that's okay if it doesn't end up on its own serving a billion people. It can at the very least help jumpstart other people onto this network. If all I do is make, free pages for creators, and those creators end up bringing more people into the Fediverse, well, then I can lay under my gravestone and be pleased with what I did.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of us are at, right? We
Hmm.
again, there's no one I talk to who has said, I want to take over and be the king of the Fediverse. And like there are people that want to build great things to help free people, but
Hmm.
we're not at, and I hope we never get to the point, we're not at the point where it's like money, 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 and that's what matters, and that's what you do, and you only make this thing in order to make money. Like there's so many brilliant, and I like the thought of being at FediCon like even humbled me that I would even be considered to be in a room with folks that are as brilliant, but it's not just brilliance, it is passionately dedicated to something like this. Like the spec, it's impossible to understand. Okay, so I'll say this. I'm a Linux nerd. System D. Everyone hated System D when I worked at Red Hat. No one
Hmm.
wanted anything to do with it. So I know way too much about System D, and no one understands all of it,
Yeah.
right? But you have to work together to figure it out, where are the pain points and things like that. And given enough time, you can get to where you're going.
Hmm.
There's so many people that state, I'm not smart enough to figure this out, but find a mentor, sit down with it, go line by line to figure out what you need to figure out, and you can get there. It's just, again, it comes back
Hmm.
to money of, if you're paid to do it, you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about, going off and doing another job or something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Time is a huge luxury. There
yeah.
was my one bandwagon plug is, as we were getting started, there was the really, really early adopters, who were all the die-hard Fediverse people, tried out this new thing. And I started playing all their music as I'm coding as like a reason to keep going. And there was this one song, it's like time isn't money, money is time. And the whole song
Yep.
was really about how time is the real
Yeah.
wealth in things.
Yep.
And I loved that song so much. And I reached out and I told him, like, I play this one all the time. He's like, cool, thanks. But it's so cool for me. What moves me the most, or what makes the most difference for me, is when I can see the effect of what I'm doing, when I can see other people using it and it actually benefiting other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the one story that I think that I come back to the most is early on in the startup. I was working to help martial arts kids get into their martial arts school, right? And it
Yeah.
was all just numbers and names and schedules and whatever. And someone calls in, and I wish I remember the little kid's name, but someone called in for help with little Becky's profile. I go in to go do the troubleshooting and whatever else, and up comes little Becky's screen, and there's the picture of this little kid. And maybe it seems really stupid or cheesy to other people, but like, it made this huge impact on me. I'm looking at the picture of this little kid, and
Yeah.
everything that I'm doing right now is to help this little kid
Her.
show up to
Yep.
class and earn her orange belt. Um, and that just focused me so much on what I'm trying to do. And now I've taken us way off track. I'm sorry, but
No.
the same thing is happening with me
But
with Bandwagon right now because I get to see the music and
yes.
watch people build their profiles and listen to what they make, and it's amazing.
No, I literally just had this conversation with someone last night, the X-ray tech. It's like you get to see someone that you're helping. You get to see what they're suffering
Hmm.
through. You get to take X-ray pictures. I just again have chest congestion, so I had to get an X-ray from my doctor, but
Mm.
I'm like I'm kind of tired of IT because there's
Yeah.
nothing that you can see. I'm going to stay in it, but there's nothing you can tangibly get out of it where you feel value. When you create something like that, like Bandwagon, and you see the difference, like, yeah, you're doing it for yourself, but it reinvigorates you. Like, I have
Hmm.
helped even one person. And that's why one of the reasons I started this, because I wanted to talk about humanity. I want to talk about people because this is how it gets made. This is what
Hmm.
matters. All of us matter. And I love that because before she was just a name in a database somewhere, whatever. And then all you
Yeah.
did was see a picture of her.
Yeah.
It changes us. There is a person behind that. That matters.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
absolutely love that. That is so cute.
Yeah. It made a huge impact on me, and it has also helped move me forward in all the things that I've done since then. So I talk with a
Yeah.
lot of IT guys.
Super
All my friends are in IT,
cool.
and we're all burned out, right? We all need
Yeah.
some sort of offline hobby. My best
Yep.
friend just walks out into the wilderness for a while, tells his wife, "I'll be back later."
I need to start doing
Like
that.
everyone needs something. I bang on drums, but if you're really looking for purpose in what you do, you just need to look at the people who are affected positively by the work that you do. And so, if you can look out and point to the people that are positively affected by what you do, that's great.
Hmm.
So that made accounting software my life's passion for a while. I couldn't think of anything but making better accounting software to get Becky into her class.
Oh,
Um, Previous to that, though, I worked for a place that made the mortgage foreclosure process more efficient. Yeah,
oh,
we was workflow software that made it easier to take houses away from people when they couldn't pay their bills, and that did not spark joy. You know, that didn't,
wait,
and I just couldn't stay there.
but the exec Bill got a new yacht because you helped, foreclose on little
Oh yeah,
Susie's house. Doesn't that make you feel
it
good?
was a whole thing. But
not, not,
that difference to me.
not to say anything negative about you, but that's the kind of job I'm like, I don't know how I could ever do it.
Yeah,
Like yeah, you need to put food on the table, right? It needs done. Family needs, but like that had to be soul crushing.
yeah, and that was when I needed to go and do the next thing, because you don't start off trying to get yourself into some sort of job like that. You're just
Yeah.
applying to jobs. You need the next thing. There was a reason, the one thing was closing, so I gotta go do the next thing. I'll go do the next thing, and then you feel weird, and like after 6 months you realize why you feel weird about it, and that's fine. Okay, live and learn, make a mistake. But if you're burned out with where you are, you got to find the people who benefit from what you do, and if you
Yeah.
can't, then you're in the wrong place. And if you look at it and say, well, I benefit because I got paid big bucks to make that software, um, well, then that's something for you to work on, on the couch with your therapist. But if you can point to the people who are impacted, then you're in the right place. And you just got to keep doing it.
Wow. That's no, that's yeah. I mean, I have more to say about that and like some life experiences, but like that is the end result. Like
You should say it. Isn't that why you're doing the podcast?
yeah.
You're you're absolutely making an impact on all kinds of people. You're bringing
Oh
all
god.
these cool voices out into the world. You get to put your own voice in between that every now and then. I think you've got a lot to say.
Oh, I it's funny because I was the type of person that never wanted to do anything like this, but that's what I wanted, right? Was
Mm.
to highlight
Hmm.
folks like yourself, and I have to be a part of that. No, there was my former brother-in-law. I enjoyed him immediately. Like he was just that kind of person. Like, well, I make air conditioning for people, and you don't hear me bitching, and it's like, and that's fine for you, but I need something that I feel makes a difference, right?
Hmm.
And I wholly agree with you. Yeah, no, yeah, I see, and this is why I think Ben is awesome, because Ben takes these really complex uh, uh, feelings and emotions, and you can boil them down so easily and succinctly. In my opinion, I relate to a lot of what you say
Mm.
because you
Thanks.
say them very. You make it sound easy. Um,
Thank you. Um, I think I'm just older than I look. And so I've had a lot of time to sit
I
and
mean,
stew about why I hated that job so much, or why I love that other job so much,
yeah.
or, and you get enough time to think about it, and I don't know. I've I've
No,
had to boil it down so people will listen.
no, and it's true. We when we're younger, we don't think that the older folks have anything to say, but you've had a lot of time to sit there and really reflect, not just on today, but your whole life. I've changed immensely since I was young. So yeah, no, age really
Hmm.
does matter in that instance. Um,
In some ways, I think it does.
yeah.
But you were headed in a new direction.
Yeah, and I not to come back to this, but I found this really interesting. Again, the whole topic
Mm.
of money in the Fediverse.
Hmm.
How do we do it? And you and I are American, and at the beginning of your FediCon presentation, you basically said, there is the option to have governments pay for this. It's like, I don't know
Hmm.
if I trust my government to do it, but it's interesting because we don't want the government to take over. And in the United States, we're facing a major issue where the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was shut down. I am an NPR supporter. I am a PBS supporter. I think that these things are very critical. But, it is what it is. And we have this idea that if government donates to these things, that they then fully control them. And if
Hmm.
we look at something like NPR, NPR basically got majority of its money from its local affiliates, except in some instances it got 50%. And those will probably close down. But the Corporation for
Hmm.
Public Broadcasting is essentially governmentally tangential. They are not part of the government, but the government gives them money to then disperse out. That is the way they allow those media places to be separate. And I think that's a great way. Obviously, in the United States, that's not going to happen. But you talk about how much this is going to cost people, right? And I'm not going to get into the exact numbers because they're in flux. We don't really know. They're massive numbers that we
Sure.
can't wrap our head around. But one of the things that I heard yesterday on NPR that massively was interesting to me is public funding per country per capita.
Hmm.
NPR did this whole thing because obviously they're under pressure. In the United
They're
States,
looking at it, yeah.
right, it matters to them. In the United States, per capita, we spend $1.40 for public media. And, that's probably dropping to zero publicly because they're now becoming
Mm.
kind of private in that they take personal donations.
Hmm.
We are by far the lowest. This will not surprise you, right?
Mm.
The United Kingdom is $90 per capita for public
Wow.
funding. And it
Hmm.
only goes up. Norway is 120. Sweden is
Oh, wow.
130. Germany is $200 per capita. So like I feel again, not in the US, most likely in Europe that something like this is if you can get the governments interested while also keeping separate, which I think is possible, right?
Hmm.
The money actually is there if you're willing to accept that the government does have a role in this. Um,
In
so
Western Europe, and you could probably
Western
make
Europe,
the case in China as well.
yes.
Um, and this is well outside of my range as well, but what do you think those numbers are like in Gambia
I
or Peru?
yeah,
I think a lot of our focus is on the US,
but
Western Europe.
but the way that I look at it though is, again, the Fediverse is like the internet.
Hmm.
If you can, because the internet was not funded the way it is originally, right? It was publicly
Hmm.
funded.
Hmm.
If you can get these countries to grant millions to get this off the ground, I think eventually it takes care of itself. It will figure itself out.
Hmm.
So based on those numbers, and you, again, I know you made financial software. You're not an accountant. You're not. Maybe you're a math genius. I don't know. But based
No.
on those, like, do you think? And again, we look at these as, well, it's government funded, or it's freemium,
Hmm.
or it can be all of them. What
It can be.
hearing those numbers yesterday, like that, it doesn't surprise me that we don't value public media in the US.
Hmm.
I think we should. I support it, but it shocked me
Hmm.
that Germany's $200 per person.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That can change all of this.
Hmm.
So, what are your thoughts around those kinds of things? And I know, again, I'm just dropping on you now. How?
No, I have thoughts about that.
Yeah.
Um, so I have too many thoughts about that. I think that um, you shouldn't turn down money that you need to get something off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can get an NLN net grant, or there was one I was actually applying for through Interledger, which is this really cool
Okay.
kind of startup payment processor. They've got grants for like serious money for people to implement their stuff. And I was sitting in the back of Fedicon frantically filling out my grant application
Yes.
right before the thing, well, right before the deadline. And then I got to the next page where they wanted way too much information, more information than I was going to be able to provide in the back of Fedicon. So I said, well, I'm not going to get this grant, and moved on. But there's a real point to this, that get the money from wherever you can to get the
Yes.
money to start something up.
Yes.
But money always comes with strings.
Yes.
That Interledger grant, would have been great. But they wanted to know a lot of stuff, and I have responsibility. I've taken money for this thing. I owe you something
That's
in exchange for that,
yeah.
and I don't really want to owe people anything for anything. So, so
Yeah.
I don't, and you know me, I can't get time zones straight. I don't want to be responsible for someone else's money, you know? Um,
This camera. I
proof. Um, so, so if
excuse me.
that money comes with strings, and apparently there's a ton of money in Europe, I'm not surprised, but I'm absolutely shocked that it's that much difference. It makes me sad.
Right.
But look at the Corporation for Public Broadcasting here in the United States.
Yep.
That money, that tiny little amount that the U.S. has been giving, is being used as a weapon to make them do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're given that money, that string can be taken away. And if you still depend
Yes.
on that money, well, now you're in a bad bind. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in that place. So if you're going to bootstrap something with grants, that's great. But there has to be a real sustainable plan for money going forward. And so that's where there has to be recurring revenue. There has to be something that actually pays for the servers that we have up once we
Yep.
have them up.
Yep. No.
So I'm
Totally
not at
agree.
all opposed to government grants. I'm not 100% opposed to advertising. I think it just has to be done well. I'm absolutely not opposed to donations or anything else or any other way of getting the money that you need. But at the end of it, I think subscriptions has to be a part of that, because that's the one thing that's really can become very stable and
Mm-hmm.
dependable.
Well, and it's again, like, it fully reminds me of the early internet. You're giving away
Hmm.
all of this stuff. How's it going to pay for it? And it didn't. People didn't figure it out overnight. It took
Hmm.
a decade really to get
Hmm.
that off the ground and get moving. And now we have 20 years to shift the entire boat, right?
Yeah.
People, again, are seeing that free is not free. It
Hmm.
costs, and it costs probably more than most society is willing to give,
Hmm. But you don't see it.
but you don't see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's trying to move that entire thing. And as I've told people, like, we don't need to move everyone, or someone said this, we don't need to move everyone at once. Those little
Hmm.
trickles of people, one at a time. Even if it goes
Hmm.
back, I always say plant the seeds. Start
Hmm.
talking to people about these alternatives, because someday they're going to be like, oh, what was that thing that you talked to me about? And
Yeah.
it's not only us being ready, it is also people being ready. You cannot push anyone into this. They have to be
Hmm.
willing. So, but
And it doesn't have to be either or. I think any
yeah,
one of
no,
these networks, like I'm on Reddit. I actually quit and then rejoined Facebook for some specific reasons. Don't try to follow me there.
I'm doing it
I
again.
have multiple places. I have multiple networks for various things. The
Hmm.
Fediverse is just one of those. So can it be an also too, a in addition to the ones that you're on, if people will just also bring this one up, that's our migration path. That's our
Yeah.
migration path for the next 10 years. 10 years from now, we can talk about siphoning people out of the old networks onto this one truly open one. That's not the problem right now.
Well, and it is interesting because we're not the primary demographic for all of these, right? Like, people are used to having TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and Reddit apps. And it's like, we can do it all in one eventually, maybe not at the moment.
Hmm.
And you can bounce back and forth between them. I actually like what Surf. I don't know if you've seen Surf.
No.
Flipboard's app. Surf is,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen Flipboard, and I know
it's,
that the thing that they made there.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I did a video on it. It's very interesting. Again, to bring everything together. So I don't know. It's an interesting time, and
Hmm.
we're either revolutionaries or we're all crazy. I'm okay with either.
It can be both. And I think we've had a lot of talking about all this, and we don't all completely agree on the problems. We certainly don't agree on the solutions. But
Yep.
I think the thing to do from here is we just need to build more stuff. And so I'm an engineer. I'm doing the thing I know how to do. I'm building what I can build. But you or the next person, you can build other things that I can't build. So go build those, and
Yeah.
let's all face them in towards this. And I think that's the way
You,
forward.
you don't want me building anything. I can't build anything, but I'm technical enough to understand how it works and relay that to normal people. Again, that's why I do this. I love doing this. I love talking to
Hmm.
people, but we need to all find our strengths and use it however you want. It can look like anything. Make anything you want. It's okay.
Almost. You just look like anything, but you have to follow the spec.
Yeah. Well, that's constantly changing.
Yes.
Thank you, Ben. All right. Now, for the real reason I asked Ben here is to give him the
Uh-oh.
opportunity to win a prize of a lifetime. Our prize today, and this will solve all the problems, is a cloud that rains money. It's a very magic cloud. As we're all attempting to figure out how to get the cloud to pay money so that we can keep feeding back into it, I thought about giving you a mashup between Bandwagon and Fair Camp, and maybe calling it Bandcamp, and then closing it off to the Fediverse.
Mm.
But I don't think anyone is really interested in that. So we won't go there. You ready for the quiz, Ben?
Yes. Can I say one quick thing about Fair Camp? That I think Fair Camp is fantastic, and I'm trying to solve a very different problem than Fair Camp
Oh
is.
yeah.
But I think that Fair Camp is just an amazing tool for people who truly want to own 100% of their own, band profile online.
Oh yeah. No, I talked
Yeah.
to is it Simon Rep? I think it
Hmm.
was a Fair Camp. But there'll be a question coming up about between Bandwagon and Fair Camp in a second. So,
Okay.
first question:
Yes.
favorite movie and why is it Spaceballs?
Gosh, it would have been hard to come up with one because there's a bunch of movies I like. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, and one of my formative movies was really Star Wars. I'm the right age to just absolutely love Star Wars. So Spaceballs is perfect because it brings in Star Wars, but also has just enough whimsy so that we were reminded to not take ourselves too seriously.
Yes, I love that. I love, yeah,
And
Spaceballs is, I absolutely.
And oh, and one more thing. My wife's favorite director of all time is Mel Brooks and all the Mel Brooks movies. She's constantly quoting
Yes.
them. So that gives us, a common ground. It really brought my marriage together.
How excited are you guys excited for Spaceballs too?
Yeah. We'll probably go see that at the theater when it comes out.
I'll go see it as soon as it comes out. I am very nervous about that. Like, how do you, and Mel Brooks is great at creating these movies, but like, how do you capture the essence of 30 years later of that movie while also iterating on it for today? I think they have an amazingly tough task.
That's a really hard problem, and in lesser hands, I would be concerned. But I'm gonna give Mel Brooks the benefit of the doubt until he really messes it up. But he hasn't. Has he messed anything up really bad so far? I don't think so.
I mean, there are movies that I'm not a huge fan of Mel Brooks' stuff, but I think all of his movies have great qualities, and I wouldn't call
Yeah.
any of them bad. Like
Yeah.
they're all quite well done. Okay, good answer. Next question is, and here's where it comes in: who would win in a fight, Bandwagon or Fair Camp?
Oh, Bandwagon. And here's why.
Yeah.
If you just look at the number of lines of code, if you look at the size, or Fair Camp, again, Fair Camp is fantastic, but if you're giving me the question framed in this way,
Yeah.
Fair Camp gives you static HTML files that you post on somewhere, a lightweight server like Amazon Cloud
Mm-hmm.
or GitHub Pages or something. So it's like welterweight, lightweight at the very, very minimum, or at the max. Like I don't know the weight classes, but if software had a weight class, Faircamp is going to be. It's a very small, tiny, focused, fantastic app.
Yes.
Bandwagon, uh, well, if it's just Bandwagon, that's comparable. But Bandwagon is riding on the shoulders of Emissary,
Yeah.
which is just the fattest fat fatty you've ever met.
So so Bandwagon wouldn't exactly fight; it would just fall over and like crush Fair Camp.
Yeah, um,
It,
Bandwagon and Emissary, they're enormous applications. And as a dynamic server that's serving ActivityPub, RSS, pulling in, IndieWeb, all those things, it's an enormous server that is, again, trying to do a fundamentally different thing than what Faircamp is.
yes.
But if you put
Yes.
the two side by side, Bandwagon just sort of rolls to its side and suffocates Faircamp.
And that's I laugh
If
because
you want to if you want to self-host your thing, please try Faircamp. It's fantastic.
I asked Simon, that's where this question came from. I asked Simon who would win in a fight. And he's like,
Oh,
huh. Well, and he took a minute and he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it'd be Bandwagon. It's just like, dude, you're supposed to
what
say your project. Like,
what was the ridiculous reason he gave?
I think if I remember right, just because of that, just because Bandwagon just covers so much more, that Fair Camp is so small and targeted that yeah,
Yeah.
Bandwagon would win a fight. Yeah.
I've been a martial artist for a long time,
Oh, really?
and so yeah, weight classes are an absolutely real thing. And
Yeah.
anyone who says, oh, your skill will allow you to overcome a larger opponent has never actually even done like sports sparring with anyone.
I've been in Krav Maga for about 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. It's very
Fantastic.
it's empowering, and I've gotten into really good shape. But there are guys that
Hmm.
are 6'5" and 300 pounds, and like in very specific instances, I have an advantage, but that's 5% of those. Like, there's
Yeah,
no way I would
yeah,
ever get into those situations anyway where they're not already pummeling me. Like,
yeah.
yeah, no.
That big guy doesn't need to be skilled to just completely obliterate you. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Train as much as
So
you want. He has the massive advantage.
it's really just about size at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next question. Wagons, camps, or clouds?
Oh, wagons for sure. Um,
Wagons.
and so it has all evolved into this really fun, weird thing for me where like I chose my email is howdy at Bandwagon, which I think is
Yes.
hilarious.
I love that.
Because Silicon Valley always does, hello at smurfledorf.com. And so I originally had that, and then no, that's like so plain and boring. And wagon just gives you so much. It's like is so much opportunity to do something fun and cool. And cloud is just overused. Camp is all right. I'll give you camp. Camp is good. But I actually work really hard to not say camp so that I don't ever like accidentally say the wrong thing, and
Yeah.
get myself sued for like clearly making a confusing label. I think they're very clear, but I also can misspeak really easily. So I always have to like lock in. It's okay. We're talking about Bandwagon, and I want you to know Bandwagon is fantastic.
I'm pretty sure on my interview with Simon, I said band camp multiple times when I met wagons. So
All I want to say is that they're not confusing, and anyone who ever does
yeah,
confuse them is just not paying attention. So don't sue me.
totally different. No, and I love your reasoning too. It's just because wagons are unique and fun, and cloud. Everyone, we're sick and tired of clouds, right? And camps. Yeah, I love that answer. That's
Well,
great.
but we were talking about it before. Like there's this kind of everything moving towards the middle of the bell curve, right?
Yeah.
Everything sort of becoming generalized solutions for everyone. And cloud is very vanilla. It's very easy. It
Mm-hmm.
kind of fits in with anything, and that's great. But there's not a lot of spice to it. And when you're working with
I
the
love
long
that.
tail,
Yeah.
you can get silly and specific and spicy. And so um, you know, Bandwagon has the opportunity to be a little bit more fun and targeted.
No, yeah. I mean, silly is. I love silly. You know, you have to laugh because if you don't, you'll cry. So
Mm.
I love that. All right. Next question is, what does an alternate universe Ben do?
Oh God. The alternate universe Ben uh didn't go off. Well, there's a couple of other things that he did. Very early on, I was choosing between music and technology, and I love playing drums, and I was teaching people to play drums.
Okay.
And there was a moment where, like, hey, we need someone to come to India and teach people how to play drums. um, and all sorts of
Wow.
things where I might have gone down the music route and not the tech route.
Yeah.
The thing was, cobbling all that together, I realized even in college, like, okay, I'm not going to make any money in music, and could I could make some money in technology. So yeah, I went the tech route.
Yeah.
There was also a point when I was just completely burnt out of tech, where I might have gone down the martial arts route,
Oh,
and that might have been interesting too.
I, I will say this: our local martial artist place. I was never a fighter. I like growing up. I
Hmm.
was like, I'm never going to tell my kids to hit anyone. You walk away. And as I've gotten older and time goes on, and we see where we are, like we got them into martial arts, and my wife and I both joined as well because
Hmm.
they say that they're actually a leadership academy that teaches martial
Hmm.
arts, and the
Hmm.
amazing community that they have brought together. It martial arts is kind of the foot in the door, and it just transcends so much else.
Hmm.
It is good for your mind. It is good for your body. It is good for your social well-being. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
that's awesome. Okay, well, I reached out to an alternate universe Ben. I have an alternate universe phone here. Don't ask.
Okay.
Very,
I was
very
wondering what that
technical.
was.
Yeah, that's my alternate
Okay.
universe phone. It changes from episode to episode. Anyone on the
I
audio
see.
version doesn't know, but it morphs every time I make a call to an alternate universe. So it's very interesting. Uh, but alternate universe Ben created a company called Bandwagon. It's not
Okay.
it's not the same bandwagon you have. He just really hates
Hmm.
wagons and he wants to see them banned.
I see.
Sadly, he's currently doing time because he saw a little girl in a wagon. He picked it up and threw it. So best of luck to alternate universe Ben and his hate of wagons and getting them banned. So
I'm glad that I ended up in this one then.
right? Yeah. You don't hate you don't hate wagons.
I
So
love wagons.
they're fun. They're cute. Who doesn't like wagons? Well, except for
Yeah.
alternate universe Ben.
Oh,
They
who needs some work on himself, I think.
Hey, you don't know what those wagons did to his family, so
I don't. I don't.
I didn't ask that. He had 2 minutes to talk because obviously prison, and it
Well,
was a long distance call.
yeah, I think those would be expensive across the universe.
Yeah. So, again, coming back to silly. I love silly.
Very good.
Who who has the better background? Since you were on Tom's Lorenzo Music podcast first, and I
Mm.
watched that and I loved it. Who has the better background, Tom or me? And I'll
Oh
make it
gosh.
I'll make it easy because Tom has the better background. But
So
do you remember Tom's?
I do. I remember I was very impressed. And he has like this whole fantastic presence
Yeah.
and seemed very, very professional. And
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
and that's where I'm going. I am not very, very professional. And you can see even in the work that I put out there, I don't mind if there's some bumps and scratches and problems with it. And I actually use that as a development tool. I'll just put something up there, the best I've got
Oh,
right now, and then listen for
yeah.
feedback. There's some law that the best way to get the right answer on the internet is to
So put
post the
the
wrong answer. And
Yep,
I
yep.
basically have weaponized that with software because um, you just put something up and then tell everyone, how do I make this better? And everyone will tell you all the things that are wrong with it. And then you kind of categorize those things and do the best you can and move it forward. So my work is never polished and it's never very professional. And the professionals will look down at my work constantly. And that's fine. They get to do that. I really appreciate something that's a little bit more long tail, a little bit more unscripted, a
Yeah.
little bit more Joust and Galaga in the background. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, Tom is fantastic, but I'm gonna give you the background win on this one, just because it speaks to my raw and unscripted nature.
No,
How
and
about
I,
that?
I I love that because as you know, I who hasn't tried software development and then you leave because it's not perfect. And in
What's
art,
horrible?
yeah, right? It's terrible. And
Yeah.
you're just like, this is terrible. I'm walking away. But those imperfections show humanity. Like thinking about art. Like, yes, there's
Hmm.
something that is nice and pretty, but there's something unique and interesting about something that is not. And you see all the flaws and you see, I mean, that's this whole show. I don't edit the
Hmm.
show. I flub my lines. We're human. We make mistakes. And that's great though, that I love that is you just throw it out there and wait essentially for the fish to come biting at the hard parts and you start
Hmm.
chinking away and nipping away at it and breaking it down until it's better. I love that. That's great. Okay. Thank you. And then our last question, as
Okay.
usual, will be sent to Ben telepathically. I'll send you the question telepathically. Take your time,
Okay.
think it through, and then let me know the answer. Are you ready for it to come?
Oh yeah.
All right, here it goes. Okay. There's your question. Take your time.
Well, I mean, I understand, but we've been working on this for a very long time. And so I don't want to just pretend that I've got to come up with the answer right now. Like, our whole civilization has been working on this from the very, very beginning. And it was a travesty that the first time we tried, we couldn't actually get the number out, but we have the number now. The number is 42.
Damn it.
And so I'm glad that we can just say it now and be clear. So
I'll
42.
I'll say this. A lot of people have said 42, which I mean that is the right answer, obviously. But you phrased it so perfectly and dramatically. I think you might have the best 42 answer out of anyone so
Yes.
far.
Very good.
All right. Congratulations. You got every question either right or wrong. Good job.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, our resident musician, Enoent, was attempting to catch a cloud and then shove money into it. But
Mm.
apparently the cloud just electrocuted him, grabbed the money, and then it flew away. So
Oh no.
yeah, once Enoent comes to, I'll make sure to punish him accordingly for losing your cloud and your money. So there is no prize this time. I apologize. But Ben, thank you so much for
That's
coming
fine.
on. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for all of the amazing work you do, not just in creating Emissary, in creating Bandcamp, but the
Nope, nope,
presentations.
nope. I didn't do that one.
Oh, band. Oh, shit. I did it, didn't I?
I have absolutely nothing to do with the other one.
I don't know what the other one is. I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for all of your
But yeah.
hard work on Emissary, Bandwagon FM, looking at the spec, putting so much time, energy, passion into presentations, looking at where things are falling down, talking positively as human beings of where we can go, where we can take this. There's so much more to this than people realize of just creating the application, right? Like,
Yeah.
if anything, that's the easy part, right? You have that in your head. You can build that. The hard part is everything else. So thank you so much for taking the time for all of that.
Yeah. Thank you. This has been really cool. And this next year is just going to be amazing. There's so much work happening, so much progress happening. So I think you're really positioned well to just funnel and channel all of that creative energy. So keep doing it.
Thank you.
I
I
know I'm going to
absolutely
keep
will.
doing my part.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. I always struggle with doubt, but if you have any recommendations for anyone you want to hear from, or, I want to talk to everyone again, even. So, if you have any big announcements or anything, always let me know. Obviously we're
Ooh.
all on the Fediverse. Happy to.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all we have for today, folks. I know it's only been about 2 hours and I could keep talking to Ben for 2 more. But thank you again to Ben. Thank you, everyone out there. You guys are the reason that this works. Ben could create Emissary for himself, and probably has, but the reason that it is interesting and exciting is because everyone that uses it. You don't have to be a techie. You don't have to be, someone that knows the spec. Just use it, enjoy it, give feedback on where it could be better, give ideas. One of us cannot think of everything together. Like can one of us cannot come up with all the solutions, but just giving ideas and bouncing it off of people will come up with something unique and
Hmm.
and better, and that's where we're going to win.
Yeah. Keep talking.
Keep talking about it. Yep.
Hmm.
So thank you, everyone. Don't forget to tip your admins, your software developers. Don't forget to be nice to yourselves, as someone that is often not. We have to remind ourselves. Thank you all so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you all. Have a good one.
This was awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.